Hello everyone, I proudly welcome you all to this quick Microsoft Access database tutorial brought to you by Akos Datatex. My name is Akos Smiler. Guys, this is an awesome privilege. I cannot hesitate to wish all of you a happy and a prosperous new year in advance. I'm really grateful also to all of you for your support, for the innumerable and precious support that you've rallied behind my channel and then also our effort here on this channel. Guys, we really appreciate all of you, and I think this is a moment for all of us to actually celebrate. Also, receive my sincere apologies. I'm apologizing, very sorry for my absence on this channel without any explanations. Guys, those of you that try to reach me that to solicit my advice or help or consultation on your personal project, so sorry those of you that couldn't probably reach me. Also happy to share with you that now we are actually back because we are in the holidays. If you would like us to discuss something personal, you can just feel free to contact me via WhatsApp or via email. Awesome. Guys, so today's video is going to be a build up video on the tutorial that we uploaded almost a year ago on YouTube. So those of you that have not watched it, this is a tutorial going to continue from this particular tutorial. So in here I shared a video on how to create student management database in Microsoft Access, and then a lot of you were actually interested in this, and then I believe it also helped you. So in here we created student management database. So what we are going to do in this tutorial is that the models that we have here, we are going to add billing and school fees model. So we are going to now look at how to bill our students. And then how to bill our students. I know, of course, I have a video that teaches school fees management creation, but then this is an alternative which I believe many of you will come to also love this. It is always good for us to have alternatives. So this is an alternative way of creating a school fees management project in your Microsoft Access database. And with this, the relevance of this is that, or one advantage of this is that we'll be able to print out bills at the end of a semester or a term for our students and then also credit them. So we are going to continue. So now many of you will ask, so where did I get this project from? It is right in this video. So once you come in here, make sure that you click more or you check the video description. We have a link here that when you click, you'll be able to get the database, download it, and then continue right in this particular video. So guys, the title of the video, or today's video or this tutorial, is about creating an alternative billing and then an alternative school fees model or database in Microsoft Access. So we are continuing right from where we ended the last time. Okay, so this time around our goal is to be able to print out bills to our students at the end of every term or a semester. So guys, let us see how we are going to do this. So before then, we go to create. Now let's create an additional table. So we create a table. So I'll click here, go to design view. Okay, so now here this is going to be school. So I'll say school fees. Sorry, so we'll say school fees TB. All right, so here in our school fees TB, I'm going to say transaction ID and also auto number, and I would like my auto numbers to be 3 digits. So I'll just come to format and enter 0 or 000 here. So now the first folder we are going to track is going to be student name. So student name is going to be short text. You can preferably also use the student ID, but I prefer to go by their student names. Okay, but guys, although I'm using student name here, it's advisable that you use the student ID. Yeah, so now we have the student name here. So student name, now what we are going to do is we're going to say bill date. So bill date, so bill dates, or we can just say transaction dates. So transaction dates. Now this one, the data type has to be date or time. Okay, so now here what we'll have to do is we enter the fees category. So we are going to enter our fees category. So here my fee category number 1 is going to be tuition, and then data type will be currency. Make sure that the default value will be set to 0. So the next one is going to be sports, also is currency. So these are the fees categories. So let me enter the fees categories here. So say fees categories. So fees categories. Okay, so guys, our fee categories. So we assume that the school that we have found ourselves, these are their fee categories. So they have tuition, they have sports, they have PTA, then they also have computer and housing. Okay, so these are the fee categories, guys. So let us get right into it here. So sports, now we have PDA, which is also currency, and now the next thing is going to be computer and housing. So computer and housing, yeah. So let us ignore the spaces we have here. So we say computer and then also housing. You know, it's always advisable to keep to the database field naming norm. So these are the fee categories. You feel free to add any number of categories you wish to incorporate in your design. Okay, so in this model we are fixing the categories, but then in subsequent models or in subsequent tutorials I will also share with you on how to customize this so that it wouldn't be fixed in your database. So now guys, let us continue the video. Okay, so now what I will do here is I will enter total bill. So total bill is also going to be currency. Now we are not going to calculate anything here. Of course, we have another way of getting values into this table. So now we have from here up to this part, we are going to store the billing. So that is when the bill, it is a debit. So now let us also add a field that is going to do the crediting. So we say paid. So paid amounts. Okay, so paid amounts also will be currency. Okay, now we are going to say transaction time. Of course, you know, time is very much important in the transaction. So we say transaction time, which is also going to be date or time. So you can just start for the data type. You can just type date and you hit tab key, or preferably you can also click in here to pull down the menu and select your date or time. Okay, so guys, now let's go over it to see that all the requisites have been captured in this particular table. So student name, transaction date, tuition, sports, these are the categories, and now total bill, paid amount, and then transaction time. Okay, so now we can save this. All right, now there is another important field that we'll have to add. So before then we have to get a table. So I will come back to this school fees TB to do some couple of changes here, to set some default values for date and time, and then also to add other fields. Before then, let us create the term table. So we go to create. Now we go to table design. So here we say term ID. Okay, so term ID. Now term ID here we say auto number. So auto number, let me make it a primary key. Now I'm going to say term. So I'm going to say term. So term title, or just say term. Now this is going to be a short text. So we can also add the start date, which is dates, then the end date, so which is also what date or time. Okay, so now we click here. Now we save. So we can say TBL terms. Okay, so now let's click here. So let's say that our first term, so this is going to be first term 2021. So first term 2021. For now I'm not interested in the dates, let's leave it for now. So second term 2021. So let's say third term 2021. Now let's come to 2023. So we say second term 2023 for instance, and then let's say third term. So third term 2023. Okay, so guys, you feel free, once you get this project, you feel free to populate the start date and then the end date also here neatly. Of course, you can also add any number of fields that you prefer to add depending on what you probably about. Okay, So now guys, what we'll do next here, so what we are going to do here now is to create a form for this. So we are going to create a form for this. So we go to create, now form design. Of course, in here we are not going to focus much or place much attention on the form designing. I'm just going to give you the layout, and then as we have a lot of videos on the channel that teaches how to design forms, you can check them out to improve the design of the forms. Okay, so here I will add a term, all the fields here. I'll go to next. So columnar is okay. Now say the form name is going to be FRM for FRM terms. So let us view the form to see how good it is looking. Great. So now we are going to do some couple of changes to this form. So right click here, we go to design view. Now the first thing is I'll select everything. Size, I'll keep it to the narrowest, and then also I'll keep it to the shortest. And now let us actually put everything here. So we can stretch these guys a bit, and then also we can remove this. So now let's cut, and then we come and paste here. So the shortcut we used was the normal shortcuts to cut, and then also to copy, Control X and then Control V to paste. So guys, let us cool out these things a bit. Okay, so now what we do next here, I'm just trying to do the grouping. Of course, I said I'm not going to improve much on the design, so now let me stick to this. So I'm going to select 14. So 14. Now let's use 12. So okay, so now let us preview this. So we have our term from here. So alignment, let's make it center align. Okay, so now so we have our terms here. Okay guys, so now the next thing that we are going to do is that we are going to add a combo box to do some searching for us. So we come right in here. So now the form design tools, we click combo. So bring combo here. Now we find a record of my form based on the value I select in my combo box exactly. So next I'll come to term. Next I'll add the ID. Next, now I'll click here. Okay guys, let's leave it just as it is here. Now go to next. So now here we say search. Okay, so we have this guy also here. Since let's see, change this guy to blue. Yeah, so now let us bold this, and then also, so here I'll put this guy here, and now the anchor, I'll come down here, property sheet format. Now let's set the anchor to right. Okay, so now we change the color also here. This guy is black. Now this one, we can actually fill this guy. Okay, so guys, now once we view this, you can click here to search. The next thing we do is that we don't want to highlight any term ID, so we are just going to select this guy. Now once we select, we come to property sheet, data options, enabled no, locked yes. Okay, so now what we've done here is that you can see by default it comes to highlight these guys also for us. So we are going to add some couple of buttons. So go to new, design view, we click here. Now let's add a delete button. Before delete, let's add record. So record operations, we could add new. So let's use bits and icons. Okay, so now this is the add new. Let's add another one. So another one, which will be the delete. Okay, so we have the delete button also here. Now let's bring these guys here. Now let us separate delete a bit. So then the last button we are going to add is a refresh. So click here, form operations. Now refresh form data. Okay, so the next thing we'll do, we select these buttons, format. Now we go to shape, so let us select white. So this is okay for us, guys. Okay, so now once we are here, we have refresh, we can click here to add a new theme. Okay, guys, so now the next thing we are going to do is that we close all these, and now we come back to the school fees TB, right click, design view. Now here what we are going to do, so let me select this guy and bring him here. Now here first, default value, we say dates. So default value will be equal to dates. So what this does is that each time that we or a value gets or a record gets into this table, the default date will be the system date. So we do the same similarly for the time. We also say equal to time. Okay, so equal to time. Yes. So now there we have to add one more we have to add one more field called term. So we click here. So let us add a term here. So after to table, so here we say term ID. So let's make it a number. Okay, so term ID is a number, so here more or less it's going to function over here as a reference key. So now when we go to the term, you can see we have here term ID is primary. So in as much as we have term ID here as a foreign key, so it means that this is now going to be a foreign key which we are going to later on use to build relationship either in the relationship builder or in queries. Okay, so now guys, the next thing we do is that we select sorry guys, so the next thing is we select all these fields: tuition, sport, PTA, computer, housing. We copy. Now we close here. So we go to the students, so design view. So this time round, this is we have to pay critical attention to this. So this time round, this is where the billing is going to start from. So we paste it here. So it means that when we are adding a student, we will have to define the tuition, the sport, PTA, computer, and then the total bill. So now we can calculate here. So at this juncture we can calculate. So we go to calculate. So now here let's enter the command. So equal to tuition, or we can just say tuition. So equal to tuition plus sports plus, so plus computer housing plus, so plus PTA, so plus PTA. Now we are done, we hit OK. Now we save. Okay guys, so now we've having added these fields to the students table. The next thing we do is that now we go to the form. So right here in this form, we need to create a session to add these guys. Okay, so what we do next is add. So before then, let us add a label. So sorry, a label. Now the label is going to be school fees information. So school fees information, we add it here. Now here let's make it bold, so bold it, and now we center it here guys. So now the next thing that we do is we select these guys that we just added, and we can just add all of them here. Okay, so now we put this closer. Now I put this closer. Okay, so now what we do, let's select this size widest. Now we can stretch it apart here, and now let's see that is actually looking good. Okay guys, So here I will say computer and housing. Okay, so total bill, I will just say total. Now here, and then now here. Okay guys, so now let me increase the size. Sorry, we add this together, so let us increase the size. Okay, so now having done this, so once we preview, okay, so we add it here. Now let me center align this. So let us center align and then we bold it. Okay, so now the next thing we do, if you are adding a new student, these things will fold themselves automatically, but because we have students inside the system, that is the reason why. So this form looks so long. Let me collapse some of the fields here. So let us collapse some of these guys. So let us collapse them so that we will have enough space. Okay, and then also we can do away with this guy. Okay, so now guys, the next thing we do is I'll click total bill. So let me change this to red so that we can place much emphasis on this. So now let's click here, other. So the cycle, now let us make it current record. So current record, so we have done this so that once you keep on pressing the tab key and the enter key, it wouldn't be moving to other records. So now let's say this one tuition is 300, this is 200, this is 100, this is 50.60. so the total bill for this student is 650. Now you say we go to the next student. So let's say it's 1200, it's 800, it's 900, and now it's 100. So you have the bills here. So here, so now what this means is that you define the billing for your students. So if it is the same, then you just feel free to set default values for all of them. So before I show you how to set a default value, so let me say tuition here. Let's fill all of these. So tuition, now 300. Now let's say this one is 200, this one is 120. So we have this and we can save. Okay, now we have this child also, so it's 1000, so 100. Now this is 0. Let's say this is 0, so 1100, 1100. So these students also, now let's say it's 300, it's 400. Now let's say 0, and then it's 50. So here also we save. Okay, so now you can see that once you start adding a new record, all these guys will be 0, 0, 0, 0. So we can set default values. So guys, we go to design view to set default values. You set this guy data. So the default, if for instance the default value is 1000 for all students, you set here 1000. If this one is 200, you set, sorry, if this one is, let's assume this one is 200, you say 200. Let's assume this one is by default 100, it says 100. Let's assume this one is 0 by default, so it says 0. Yeah. So now what this means is that it's going to save you from always having to enter data repeatedly for cases whereby they are the same. So go to new students. Now let's say first name is Gilbert. So Gilbert Ansa is a male. Birthday is 4th November 1999. Age, so address, let's say is Pokwase, Accra. Hobby is sports. So class, let me click here, it says class 3. Now mother is this, and then this is also father. So you can see by default it's here. So if you have any changes to make, you just have to change it. So let's say this student has to be 50.90, you change it, and now you can see. Okay, now you can also print this. So Now let us move on to add the students billing information to this part of the form also. So we go to design view. Yes, so now I'll go to design view of this also. So it is not too different, so I'll copy this guy. Now come in here, we pull in a space and come just paste, Control V to paste, and now got Smiley. So this is how, now doing this will save you time when creating forms. So now you can just preview. Yeah, so now we have it here. So now if you go to student info, each time that you preview, so you preview and then you click print, it will give you the school fees information of that child. So once you print preview, it will also pop up here. Okay guys, so now how do we now get this information to do the billing? Of course, we have the school fees TB here, so it means that we should find a way to transfer at the end of every term. We transfer the information from the students table to the students table to the school fees table, guys. Okay, so guys, I checked in there to see how much we are into this particular video. So now let us move on to create some couple of queries. So we go to create. Now here we are going to say query design. So we go to students info. So student info. So now here what I will do here is that I will just need the students. So I will need a student's name. So here we need a student's name. Now we will need a student's name. We are also going to need the category, so tuition, sports, PTA, computer, tutor bill. Okay, so we will also need now these are the information we will need to probably append at the end of everything. So I will say, so what we are going to do here is Control S. Now we say school fees bills QRY. So school fees bills QRY. Okay, so now with the school fees bill QRY, we are going to make it an append query. So we go to append. Now what do you append it to? We are going to append it to school fees table. So you see here student name, so we select, and now you can say student name. So when we append, or when we run this append query, student name should be appended to student name. So tuition, sports, computer, tutor bill. So now there are still some couple of things that we'll have to also append in addition. So for instance, we will have to also append so we'll have to append a term, but then before we will come back to the term. So append. Now what we do here is that we save this guy. We'll come back to this query, guys. So the next thing we'll do here is that we create another query. So we'll go to query design. Now in here I'll go to students table. So now I'll need student ID. Now I will need gender, and now of course we need class. So guys, let's change this one to student code. So let's change, student code. So let's change it to student code. Gender, class, stage. Now tuition, sports, PTA, computer, housing, and then tutor bill. So we can run this query, and now this is what we have here. Okay, so now the next thing we do here is that we create a data sheet for this particular form. So we go to create. Now we go to form wizard. Before then, let us save the query. So we say QRY students bills. So now form wizard, add everything next, data sheet next. Now you can also use tabular form if you want. So FRM bills sheets. Okay, So now guys, we have the bill sheet here. It is too wide. Let me click here, and then best fit, click here, best fit. So you make sure that they will all fit neatly to the size of your fold waves. So this guy fold wave, best fit. This guy also fold wave, best fit. This guy also fold wave, best fit. Now this guy also fold wave, best fit. Okay, now the next thing I will do here is that alternate colors, I will set it to none, and now come in here, and then we try to change this. So let's see if we can get so. Now guys, let us just select this, and then okay, so now we click totals. So totals here to get the totals for tuition, so to get the totals for sports, totals for PDA, so you get the totals for housing, and now you get the totals for the total also. Now you go to design view. Of course, we shouldn't be able to add any new, so we shouldn't be able to also delete. So we come in here, datasheet view. Okay, so guys, now what we do next is we're almost there. So now we close everything here. Now we'll come to our form for the terms. So go to design view. Now let me create a space here. So now the form build sheet will be inserted here as a subform. So you just drag and drop here. So now let me select this guy, and then what we do here is, once it is highlighted in yellow, you come to formats and the property sheet. Horizontal anchor should be both, vertical anchor should be both. Now I don't want to have any outline, so I'll set outline to transparent. Now the entire form pop-up will be yes. Now for record selector, so those of us that do not know the record selector, this is record selector. This guy, I will disable it, so I'll click here. Now here is good, auto center, make sure it is yes, and then record selector is no, so we don't need record selector. I don't need navigation, so we don't need navigation also. Navigation is what we have here. Let me save. So this is the navigation what we have here, so I will disable all navigations. So I'll disable the navigation for the parent form. Okay, and now events, once we go to unload, we would like the form to maximize each time it opens. So each time it opens, we would like you to maximize. So we go to design view, unload, we click here. Now let's add VBA code. So here we add this simple VBA command, do cmd.maximize. Okay, so now here, once you open this form, it's maximize to fill your entire area, and now you are good to go. So now we are almost there, guys. So it means that if we should append a bill right now for a term, for this term that we've selected, it is going to be $7,771 in total. So now how do we append for a term? So we come in here, so we in here, let me add that button here. So I'll say submit bill, submit bill, or submit current bill. Okay, so now here let me increase the size, and then also as usual let me change it to this guy. All right guys, so now we can make this one green color because we are submitting bills. So now I'll click here under format. So under format, what we do here also is that similarly horizontal anchor should be set to right, so that once we maximize, you can see that it has now also be shifted neatly to the right hand side, which is exactly what we actually after. So now what we've done here is that each time that we click submit bill, the next thing we want to achieve is that all the bills here are supposed to be submitted for the current term. So once we select, so if you want to bill, you come in here, you make sure you do validations. So validations, you can search the name of a child. So guys, so sorry, we don't have the name of children here. Before then, let us add that. So we go to QRI student bills, so design view. Now the name of the student is very much important, we add it here. Okay, now let us go to the form also and add it. So we can add it here. So we add student name. Okay, so now if we go to, so now let us rename this particular form. So we go to, so we say main billing FRM. Now we can run this form, and then we have our students here, can shift them neatly here. So here you can feel free, if you want to validate a child, you can just search them. If it's child, you search them. Now you can edit their school fees information before finally, when you are done, you refresh the form. Now you submit the bill. So how do we now transfer this data onto our school fees data to do the billing and then also the term? So it is very easy. We already have that pen query here, but then you know, when we come into this school fees table, it has student name, and of course we have student's name also in a pen query. Everything is in the student, the table, but then term is missing out. So what we do is that we go to design view of this append. When we append, we want the terms to be also be appended as such. So right click here, you go to build. So click in here, so forms, all forms. Now we click main billing, so term ID. Okay, so now the term ID currently selected in that form, so here we say term ID. So this is a command. This one will get S in the current term. So the current term, when the form is open, but you have to make sure that the form will be open. The Microsoft Access will access the current term. So the current term should be also appended to term ID. And then guys, we are there. So now what we do is that we save it, and now we are going to our main billing form design view. So now let us issue the command. So when we click this button, do the billing for us. So come in here, build events. Now we go to macro. So here we say open query. Now what is the name of the query? So you can click here. So it says QRI student bills, I'm very sure. So we save. So let's say, okay, sorry guys, let us copy the name here. We missed the name, so it's supposed to be this guy. Okay, so now guys, so let's ask, for instance, you want to do billing. We go to submit current bill. You're about to run an append query. Yes, 6. Okay, so now it is done. Once we come to school fees table, you can see that a new bill has been submitted, and then also for the current term. So you can see neatly the billing has been done for us successfully. So now with this information, you can feel free to create billing bills to be given to your students. So let us see how it works again. So we go to main form billing. So let's say I want to bill for third term 2020, second term 2023. I will select the term, submit. Now here we are done, guys. So once we refresh, a new bill has been submitted with this particular ID here. So this is a very interesting, you can see this very interesting model, and it's also very simple to probably do. So now the next thing we do here is that we try to get the balance and then also the crediting. So in this tutorial, we are not going to create the crediting form, but then once if you want to credit a student, you just type the name and then you just enter the paid amount and it will be deducted. So we'll take care of that in the next part of this particular video. But for now, let us see how much we are into this video. So we are so guys, we are 39. I don't plan to exceed 1 hour in this video. So the next thing we are going to do is to create the balances so that we know how much each student is actually owing in the school. So now let's come in here. So let's come in here. Now go to create, so go to query design, so school fees. So now here school fees, we can also add a students table. So say students table. Okay, so we are going to build a relationship, and the relationship we are going to build is going to use this student name against student name, of course. So here, well, student code comes here. I get a student name from this side. Now I get total bill. Now I'll get paid amount. So let us make it a group query. So we click totals. So we are grouping the total, this one by sum, this one also by sum. So now once we run this query, so you can see every student and the total bill. So each time that you run this query, it will automatically build and update the student balances, and as you are doing crediting, it will also be crediting them as such. So let us add the balance field. So click here. Now we say balance. Of course, that is very true. So let's come in here and we will say now we are referencing it from school fees dot total bill. So here to the same thing, school fees dot paid amount. Okay, we are there, we run. So now these are the balances, these are the balances also. So Control S to save. Now we can say that school fees, so we can say QRI balance views. Okay, so balance views. So each time that you build a student, the balance will also be calculated for you. Okay guys, so now the next thing we do is we can create a form. So let's create a very simple form. So we go to create form wizard. Now we need just the balance of the students. Next, it's column now, next. So now here we say balance, modify form. So we delete this guy. Now let us insert this guy. So we insert this guy. Now next. Okay, so guys, we bring this guy here, bring this here. So let us try to expand. This is 16 is okay, center is also okay. Okay, so let me increase it more, 22. Yeah, so 22 is fine. Okay, so now the next thing we'll do here, I'll click. So here it should be black, and now it's supposed to be this. Now here, right click, conditional formatting. So if it is greater than 0, then the next thing we do is we set the color to be this. Now if it is less than or equal to 0, then let's set the color to be green. It means the child isn't owing at this point. So let's apply now here. Okay guys, so now let me click here, no record selector, no navigation, and then also no scrolls. Okay, so we have it here. Now let me put it at the top, and now also data enable no, we lock it. Okay, now we close everything, we go to students. So now we come to balance. So balance, we drag and now we put it here. Okay, so we see the current balance of the student when we select him. So now let us do some linking. So we click here, and then Microsoft Access has already done a linking for us, so no extra work to do. We click here, shape outline transparent, and guys, now we are here. So now once you select a student, you see the balance. Once you select a student, you see the balance. So we have the balance of the student. So if you, each time that your accountant is also crediting the student, the balance will also be updating themselves right in the system here. So we have this here. Okay, now the last thing we are going to do in this model is that we see how best we can prints the bills at the end of every term. So guys, let us move on to see how we can actually do that. Now to do that, we are going to create a query. So we go to query design, now school fees. So this time around we are going to add another table, TBL terms. Of course it has been added for us neatly, so I'll add everything here, but then we will need the term number or the term name. Yeah, so we need a term name. Now we need the start date and the end date. Of course, if this is not necessary, we can leave it. Now we save it. So we say QRY students bills main. Okay, so now what we have here, so now once you have this query QRI student bills, the one we just did, this one. So once you have this, you can use to create any other report that you want. So if you like, you can preview the whole bill before submitting at the end of every billing. So here, now a quick one, I'll copy students and I'll paste. So I'll say students bills. Okay, so I'll click here, design view. Now what we are going to do is so let's go back. We will need some couple of information about the child. Up to gender is okay, and the class. So go to this very reports. Now let me add another table. So the students table. So the students table, let's add it. Now we are going to connect this table to the school fees using guess what, we are going to use the student name. So connect it here. Now that we have it here, we can fetch the first name of the child, this. We can also fetch the class, and once we run, we are still intact here. So now let us do this. So I will delete all these guys. So we will bring these guys here. So now the next thing I'll do is I come in here. Now this is a bill. So let's copy and paste. Now here we are going to say term. So we're going to say term information. So we are going to say term information. So what I will do is I will click add. Now I will need the term. So guys, before then, let's click here. We need to change the record source. Sorry. So the record source is going to be QR student bills main. And now we click here. We will need the term ID, and then also we are going to need a term name. So we bring them here. Now let's click. So now let's click. Now let's click this guy. Now let's click this guy. Okay, so guys, now what we've done here is that we've actually managed to get the bill for each child. So student code, student name. Okay, so now it means that we don't have the student name and the student code. So let's click here. We change this guy to student name. So student's name is here. So let's go back to the query. Now student code is here. We have added it. Now we have student code. So let's see again, photo and ID. So guys, this means that we still need to add the ID here, but of course we don't even need this ID, so we just exit. But let's add a photo, design view. So we still have to add a photo. Now we are here. So of course next time around we are through. Okay, so now we have the billing given to us here, so you can see every child bill. So the next thing we'll do now is that because we are going to print it for every child, we go to design view. Now what we have in here, all the information we have at the header, we cut, we close the header. So we close the header. Now we push this information down. So now we can insert it here. Now we can insert it here. So now it will repeat. So the next thing we can do is to add a label, another label. So another label which we can actually expand as this. Okay, so we click here. Now bold, and we click here, shape outline, transparent. Okay, so guys, now once we preview this, you can see now we have it here. So we can go to preview. So for this chart, this is the bill, this is the bill. So now the next thing is that we should be able to print this at the end of every term for the students. So at the end of every term for the student, we should be able to print this guy. So we close. Now we come to main this. So once we are done billing, we should be able to print. So I'll come in here. Now I'll add print. So I will say print bills. So print bills. So here, print bills. Let us make it bold. Now, so change it to heights. So I'll come in here. Now let's insert a picture. So picture. Sorry. So the picture, we come in here, we click. I will say print. So let's say print. Okay. Page output. This is okay. Now let's set it at the right hand side. Okay. Now we add a macro. Right click, build events, macro. So open reports, and the report is student bills. Now we're going to say term ID. Term ID is equal to so term ID is equal to now this term ID. So now again, so what we are doing here is quotation, then we put apostrophe inside. Now we are going to wrap this guy up in quotations, and now we can save. So we are good to go now. Okay, so now let's say for instance we just added a bill for second term. We want to print the bills. So data type mismatch in criteria expression. Okay, so no problem. So before then, let's make sure that the term ID here is term ID. Okay, no problem. So guys, the next thing we'll do, let's delete these guys. Let's try this, and then hopefully it should work for us. Okay, so now then click print. Now you can see you have all the bills here. So the term ID is 410. This is the term. So if you have thousands of students in your school, you can just print it. So this is print preview. You can see the bill has been generated for all students in the school. So let's say you want to do another set of bills. So select the term, third term 2021. You submit the bill. Now you are done with the billing. You refresh, and now you can print the bill. So once you refresh, you can see that the billing has been done. And of course, when you go to your students' profiles too, so if you go to visit these student profiles, you can see that now it has been updated for all your students. So now what we have not done, this is the end of this particular part of the lesson. I believe you guys have really liked this particular video. So now the next thing we'll do in the second part is the second part is not going to be long, guys, I promise, because over there we are just going to create a form that we'll use to credit and then print receipt for the students, and then also see the balance updates in themselves. I believe this is going to help a lot of us over here who like to do projects in school management. If you have thousands of people, students, you build them automatically, it actually comes at once. I think the first one we had some limitations. Now this one is going to help you guys to improve. Thank you very much for your audience. I wish you all the best of luck in the upcoming year. Bye bye.